Hi, welcome back to Nick in China. Just having a little walk around a park near my home today, which I've actually never been in before. It's quite nice. It's early morning and it's boiling hot already. Well, it's 8:30 now, it's pushing 30 degrees. Gonna be a scorcher today, I think. Xi'an's getting hot. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about COVID. Believe it or not, I haven't done a video about COVID for ages, mainly because there's been, well, nothing really to talk about over here because the situation's been fine for a long time. However, there have been a few interesting developments which I think maybe a lot of people are not aware of outside of China. So let's talk about that. So the most important thing is the vaccine program. The vaccine program in China is really in full swing now, and it's not being mentioned that much. Oh, sorry, 1 second. These are it's pomegranate, this, by the way, if you didn't know. It's very, it's kind of the local famous plant in these parts of China. Basically everywhere in China has a famous plant or famous animal or famous food or famous something. Every single town in China has these things. And pomegranate, which is everywhere here, is certainly Xi'an or Lintong County, which is just near Xi'an. It's where the terracotta warriors are. Very famous for their pomegranates. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, vaccines. There's someone singing really loud down here. I will get onto vaccines in just one moment. Let's have a look, see what's going on. The kind of thing that happens. I think live streaming, that's pretty wild. I mean, I feel a bit nervous and uncomfortable sometimes just walking around filming and talking to a camera. That guy got some confidence, man. Actually, when you walk around parks in China, people are very confident about doing anything, I think. It's pretty cool. There's an unusual confidence here about, especially singing and dancing in public. Like, that's like my idea of hell, I think, you know, being forced to sing or dance in public. So vaccines, anyway. China's really amped up its vaccine program in the last few weeks, like to unprecedented levels, the kind of thing that only China could manage, to be honest. So as of the 5th of June, so a couple of days ago, from me filming right now, China has vaccinated or given a vaccine to 763 million people in China. That's more than half of the population of the most populous country on earth, and currently they're doing about 20 million a day. 20 million a day. Now, I was looking on some, you know, Western news sites, BBC, etc. Obviously no one's mentioning this or talking about this at all, because why would they? Just keep showing videos of Matt Hancock telling us how good a job he's doing and stuff like that. Anyway, so they're not telling you, so I will tell you. The vaccine program is flying here. I had my first shot a few days ago, and that was Sinovac, the Sinovac vaccine. And I've got to go back in 3 weeks to get my second shot, and then I'm done, which is really good because, to be honest, in 4 weeks, I will be off on my travels for a month or two. Can't wait. Now, when it comes down to these kind of things in China, especially hospital related things, they're never exactly as straightforward as you would hope they would be, you know. I went to hospital, basically they opened up 3 hospitals in which Laowai foreigners could go and get a vaccine in Xi'an. I'm not sure why exactly we've been separated from the rest of the population, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's to allow nurses and doctors who speak a bit of English to help people, I don't know. Anyway, so that was fine. God, I'm gonna fall down this hill. So there's often like a lot of, the process is sometimes quite drawn out in China when you need to do something maybe official like this. So you go to the hospital and you wait in a line for a piece of paper, and then you take that piece of paper to another line and wait in a line for someone else to stamp it, and so on and so forth. And usually by the end of the process, you've spoken to about 10 different people and stamped about 3 different bits of paper and paid someone in a different building and all this kind of stuff. So the process did take a while. I was in hospital for a good couple of hours, but whatever, it's just how things work here, you know, it's just the way it is. But now it's done, and the nurses and everyone they were really friendly and really helpful. So that's awesome. So that was nice. So the Sinovac vaccine that I got is one of a number of Chinese vaccines. And actually, just about the same time that I got my vaccine, there was some really positive news about it coming out of Brazil. Sinovac is one of the vaccines that has been taken in Brazil. Brazil obviously has suffered more than most countries in the world. Almost 500,000 people have died of coronavirus, which is appalling. A lot of that due to their dreadful government. But they did an experiment in a town called Serrana, I think, just outside of Sao Paulo. It's had a population of about 45,000 people, and with the Sinovac vaccine, or Coronavac as it's also known, they vaccinated 95% of the adult population as kind of a test to see, you know, how effective the vaccine actually is, and the results were really, really good. Everything just dropped dramatically. So there are very positive signs, you know, for the future. Hopefully things will, you know, continue to improve. I would like to get home to England at some point in the near future. There are more live streamers. It looks like a family. It's like mum, dad and son, and they're all just rocking out in the park. There's a man on a horse in front of me. What a beautiful day, by the way. Look at these skies. Right, let's see who this man is on the horse. It's Emperor Wen. There he is. That's Sui Wendi, the first emperor of the Sui dynasty in China. The first, and not only, he had a second after him, and then it was over. Just 2 emperors in that dynasty. Very important in Chinese history though. Reunified the country and basically allowed the following dynasty, the Tang dynasty, to become the most powerful nation on earth. Anyway, boring history lesson. Sorry, what am I talking about? Oh, I'm talking about COVID today, aren't I? Of course. So vaccine programs all over the world now are really starting to take effect, which is great. In my own country, in the UK, the vaccine program's been really, really successful, which is wonderful news. Finally, people can actually get back to some kind of normal life, you know, going to the pub, having a few beers. So that's good. Obviously, it's still being very, like everything in this pandemic, highly politicized, you know. If I have to listen to Matt Hancock one more time tell me about how great a job he's done with the vaccine, oh my goodness. Let me just make this really clear for those of you who aren't sure. Matt Hancock and in fact the government have basically done nothing with the vaccine. It's largely a vaccine developed by, you know, other companies, whether it's Pfizer or the Oxford vaccine. He has nothing to do with that, and it's the NHS who's been administering it. He is just an absolute numbnuts. So tired of it, so tired of him. And it made me think a little bit about, you know, when the dust settles on this whole pandemic, what's going to happen, you know? I think I know what's going to happen, unfortunately, which makes me sad, because what's going to happen is all these dickhead politicians that we have around the world, especially in the UK and in the US, who have messed up everything, by the way. They've messed up everything. They are gonna dodge responsibility for that. Yeah, definitely they're gonna. We can already see the signs of it, you know. Joe Biden in America bringing back the old COVID lab leak theory. And unfortunately it's gonna work, because let's be honest, people want to blame China, I think. So basically they're going to push the blame onto this country. Pretty sure, I think I can say that with quite a lot of confidence. People will kind of be okay with that and follow that. And these scumbags who have literally let hundreds of thousands of people die will get away with it. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion. Anyway, time will tell. So I think in the last week I've been down a little bit of a COVID rabbit hole, probably because I got the vaccine, so it's been back on my mind. Anyway, and I came across this thing. Actually, I found it on the BBC website, and it's Bloomberg, the big US news agency. They have a thing on their website. It's called the COVID resilience ranking. I'm not sure if you've seen this. Made me laugh when I saw it. So the COVID resilience ranking from Bloomberg, it lists countries in order of where are the best places to be during COVID. Now, if you look at the actual ranking, obviously, I mean, it's American, so they're gonna say things that they want to say, but like basically a lot of these countries at the top, as you can see, they're definitely countries that, you know, Westerners can agree upon, you know, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, some of the Scandinavian countries. Whack 'em at the top, no problem, nothing to see here. China lies just above the UK on this chart, which you know, when I saw that, I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, right? So in China, let me just put this straight. I mean, I was looking at how can that be possible? Obviously, they haven't updated some of the figures for the vaccinations in China, because that's incorrect. You know, as I said, they've vaccinated or given a first shot of vaccine to over half of the population of the country now. The other thing that China's been marked down for was the severity of lockdown. Been marked down heavily. It's true, we did have a very harsh lockdown here in China for a few weeks over a year ago, and since then it's been fine. Like, everything's been open, we've been doing everything. What the hell are they talking about? Like, the UK has just come out of lockdown. Like, you can go and get a pint now after what, a year and a half of essentially people dying, you know, like it's pretty horrendous stuff. And Vietnam, which has had about 50 deaths total, having a few cases now though at the moment, but nevertheless is way down the list. Now, I find this interesting because both China and Vietnam have left-wing communist governments. I think there should be another chart on this mental resilience rating, and it should be politics, because quite frankly I think it's impossible for any American news agency to put anything related to communism at the top of any chart. But the fact of the matter is, China and Vietnam are both massively heavily populated countries, mainland countries, not an island either, mainland countries. And obviously the first cases that we know of appeared in Wuhan in China, and Vietnam was maybe not the second, but one of the next countries to have cases. Both countries have handled it unbelievably well. Like, don't get, you know, I'm not going to mix my words there. So much better than any single country in the West, any single country in the West. But yeah, can't even give them that. You know, we'll just put China just above. You know, they had a very severe lockdown, and they're not vaccinating people. They are vaccinating people. They're just lying to you. I think at some point you have to look at look at some of the facts and just like really question, like, are you being told the truth? And I know that on this video, because there will be people who write comments on my video, on this video I'm sure, who will say, you've been paid by the Chinese government to make a video saying this. If you do say that, if you are one of those people, at least in your comment, please explain to me what part of what I just said is not true. Because what I just said is exactly true. Now, someone else can tell me what it was like in lockdown in China over a year ago. Someone on Reddit might tell you something, but I was actually here. And honestly, at this point, it's frustrating, to be honest. I think it's frustrating, especially, you know, how it was here and how people handled it and how responsible people were. And it just gets shit on all the time. If you look on Reddit or Twitter, it's just scumbags, you know, just lying. They know more. Some keyboard warrior in Texas, you know, who's never even thought of going to China because, well, you know, it's evil. But he knows more about China than, for example, me. I'm not saying I know everything about China, but you know what? I know quite a bit. So yeah, that was a bit of a rant. Sorry. Again, it's not a common occurrence on my channel, I don't think. However, you know, I think especially being given the vaccine and knowing what's going on with the vaccine program here, and maybe how things are being talked about here, back in other countries. Yeah, I'm not sorry for ranting, actually. If you are watching, I think in the West, if you're from the UK or the US or etc., etc., you know, maybe question it a little bit. There's a lot of politics in what's going on at the moment. I do believe you're only being told half truths or half the story. So look into it more. This place here that I live, China, it is portrayed as the villain. Only a villain, you know? Can't do anything right. But remember who is saying that, who's telling you that. You know, the likes of the current government in the UK, for example, they are, let's be honest, they've lied to people in the UK for a year about a lot of stuff related to COVID. Why on earth do you think they would tell you the truth about what's going on here in China? And I extend that to, you know, certain media outlets as well, which maybe they're not, you know, missing things on purpose. Oh, there's another guy. Well, there's another guy walking backwards here. Tenet. He's inverted. He's inverted in time. Unreal. Anyway, so yeah, I think that, you know, it is worth thinking about that maybe you're not being told the full information or the full story. Certainly when it comes down to things like lockdown. There are some things on my channel about China that I don't really want to talk about because I don't really think I have the information. People point to things like, you know, Xinjiang and Tibet and things like that, very controversial topics, which I tend not to talk about on my channel, mainly because I don't really see that I have any real any deep knowledge about what that situation. Of course I have my opinions about it, of course I do, but I don't feel confident enough to talk about it on the channel, I don't think. However, when it comes down to something like the handling of coronavirus or the lockdown here, I feel absolutely confident to talk about it because I was here, because I lived through it. The vaccine program, because I've had my vaccine. These are things I've experienced, and I know a lot of people who have also gone through it all over China and other places. Even, you know, I know people who were in Wuhan during the lockdown as well. As a result, you know, I feel like maybe I do know something more about this, and reading about things back home in the media or the way things were talked about, it didn't match up to the reality. And that, for me, you know, it's cast a lot of doubts on a lot of things that I formerly believed, or formerly the way that I thought previously, and it has changed my opinion about a lot of things. Don't believe the hype, man. China is just being, you know, there's a rhetoric obviously from the West, and a lot of it is not just political, I think it's economic. Obviously China's economy continues to fly and outstrip the US, basically. I think it might have something to do with it. Anyway, not my job to speculate. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a weird time. I hope that, you know, next year things will be completely fine all over the world. You know, things are starting to look positive in many places, which is great, and we can get back to some kind of normality, like real normality. I said, to be fair, here in China it's been fine for a long time, but it would be nice to go home, see my family, see my grandma, who will be 100 next year, so I hope I can get back for that. Fingers crossed, eh? Right guys, I'm gonna sign off there. I'm walking through some kind of messed up, scary kids fun fair, and I'll see you in the next video. All the best, take care, and bye bye.